Menu number 5 turned out to be a succulent alien girl on a tray. His reaction was priceless. HFY. It had been a long, exhausting day for Captain Derek Hughes, as the commander of the Nautilus, a ship assigned to explore the furthest reaches of the galaxy. He'd gotten used to strange, often bizarre encounters, but nothing prepared him for what he was about to experience on the alien planet of Zephyr 7. The planet was beautiful in an eerie way. Lush forests with bioluminescent trees, a sky perpetually twilight, and an odd sense of peace that masked the strange undercurrents beneath. Derek and his crew had landed for what was supposed to be a routine resupply mission. They were here to restock on some essentials, water, fuel, and food from the locals. They were welcomed by the inhabitants, a tall and slender species with glowing purple skin and shimmering eyes, who communicated through subtle gestures and melodic sounds. It seemed like a peaceful and technologically advanced world, and Derek's crew was eager to explore it further. That was, until they found the menu. It had started innocuously enough. After a quick meeting with the local leaders, Derek and his crew were invited to the celebration feast in their honor. They entered a spacious, vine-draped hall, where a long table was laid out with an array of vibrant dishes. Everything looked edible, familiar enough in appearance but with exotic twists that hinted at local flavors. There was an intricate food display in the center of the table, and at first, Derek assumed it was some kind of delicacy, a type of flower or fruit arranged on a gleaming silver platter. But as his eyes scanned the table, something caught his attention. A small menu was presented next to the dish, written in an elegant script that glowed faintly. It was translated into basic human language, of course, but the last item on the list had Derek pause. Menu number 5, succulent alien girl on a tray. He chuckled nervously at first, thinking it was some kind of bizarre joke or a cultural misunderstanding. After all, the Zyphorians were known for their odd sense of humor. But as the serving staff approached the dish in question, Derek's stomach sank. The shimmering platter was uncovered, revealing a breathtakingly beautiful alien woman. Her skin a soft, radiant pink, her hair flowing like strands of liquid gold, draped with what appeared to be edible garnishes, some kind of delicate seaweed and glistening fruit. She was breathing, blinking, and looking around with wide, curious eyes. Derek's mind raced. Was this some kind of ritual? A strange form of hospitality? Or... Before he could respond, the woman gave a soft, melodic laugh, her voice ringing like a gentle chime. "Do not be alarmed, Earthling," she said with a playful smile. "I am not here to be eaten. I am the dish." Derek's jaw dropped, the absurdity of the situation leaving him momentarily speechless. His crew had all turned various shades of pale, eyes wide with confusion, and their hands instinctively reached for their weapons. But the woman raised a hand. "I am not food, though I may appear to be. I am a cultural offering of Zephyr 7, a symbol of hospitality and an invitation to share in our most precious experience, the taste of the soul." Derek's confusion only deepened, but before he could ask any questions, the Zyphorian leader stepped forward with a knowing smile. "Do not worry, Captain Hughes. The offering is not to be consumed in the traditional sense. Instead, we invite you to share our essence, a bonding of our minds and spirits through this unique, ceremonial exchange." At this point, Derek wasn't sure whether he was in the midst of an elaborate prank or something far stranger. But the woman on the tray gestured for him to approach, and before he knew it, he was kneeling beside her, his mind swirling with a sense of curiosity and unease. She took his hand in hers, and as her fingers touched his skin, an overwhelming flood of sensations and emotions hit him. The flood of foreign memories, visions, and emotions rushed through him, landscapes of distant worlds, the joy of creation, the sorrow of loss, and the transcendence of knowledge. It was as if his very mind was intertwined with hers, and for the briefest moment, Derek was connected to the entire history and essence of the Zyphorian race. Then, as quickly as it had begun, the connection snapped, leaving him breathless and disoriented. He pulled away, blinking rapidly, struggling to ground himself in the present reality. The woman on the tray smiled serenely, her eyes still sparkling with an otherworldly glow. "Thank you, Captain Hughes," she said softly. "Now you understand." Derek's heart was pounding. He had just shared an experience unlike anything he could have ever imagined, something beyond physical sustenance. But in a way, It felt more real than any meal he had ever eaten. He felt more alive than ever before. As he stood up, still trying to process the mind-bending encounter, he glanced at his crew, whose reactions ranged from stunned silence to utter disbelief. "Well," Derek said, trying to regain his composure, "I guess it wasn't exactly what I was expecting from menu number 5. His crew burst into nervous laughter, the tension slowly easing, but Derek could only smile, still feeling the aftereffects of the strange and profound experience. As the feast continued, the Zyphorians explained that their civilization had long since moved beyond the need for traditional consumption of food. Their offerings were an exchange of knowledge, experiences, and emotions, an intricate dance that transcended mere biology. Derek couldn't help but feel a deep sense of awe. It was an experience that no human had ever had, and likely, no human ever would again. The Zyphorians had shared something far more valuable than food. They had shared their essence, a part of themselves, with him. And though his reaction had been priceless, in the end, it was the Zyphorians' invitation to understand the very soul of their culture that had left an indelible mark on him. He would never forget menu number 5, not because of the surprise or the initial shock, but because of the profound connection that came with it. The end. Menu number 5 turned out to be a succulent alien girl on a tray. His reaction was priceless. HFY continued. Days passed since that bizarre and mind-bending feast, and Derek couldn't shake the sensation of the shared connection he'd experienced with the Zyphorian woman. The flood of emotions, thoughts, and memories still lingered like a haunting echo in his mind. Every time he closed his eyes, flashes of alien landscapes and strange beings played across his vision. It was as though the very essence of their culture had been imprinted on him, an indelible mark that no amount of time could erase. But, the strangest part? It felt like a gift. Derek sat at the control deck of the Nautilus, staring out at the star-speckled vastness of space, lost in thought. His crew had resumed their usual duties, their encounters with the Zyphorians no longer discussed openly. The experience had shaken them all, but no one dared to bring it up in casual conversation. The unease of it all still clung to them, though it was clear that Derek, perhaps more than anyone, had felt the true depth of what they'd shared with the alien race. He'd been to dozens of planets, seen hundreds of species, and even fought in more than a few skirmishes during his time in the service. But this was different. The exchange of knowledge, of soul, as the Zyphorians called it, was beyond anything he'd ever encountered. It was human in a way that no one could have expected. In a way, it made him appreciate the value of his own species even more. Humans, ordinary, flawed, but fiercely independent and resilient, had survived against all odds. They had fought their way through wars, through extinction events, and through alien invasions. And as he thought about it, Derek realized the true meaning of the Zyphorians' gift. It wasn't just about exchanging knowledge. It was about understanding what made a species great, what it was capable of when pushed to its limits. As he sat in quiet contemplation, a sudden beeping from the communication panel snapped him from his thoughts. A signal from the Zyphorians. "Captain Hughes," came the familiar melodic voice of the Zyphorian ambassador. "We have completed the process of encoding your essence into our archives. Your experience has been most enlightening." Derek's pulse quickened. He hadn't expected them to follow up, but it wasn't unusual for them to share information in a mutually beneficial exchange. He activated the communication panel, sitting up straighter. "How do you mean? What do you want with our essence?" Derek asked, genuinely curious. The ambassador's voice was warm, calm, and slightly amused. "We have never shared our deepest understanding with another species. However, your connection to us, Captain Hughes, and your race's resilience, strength, and willpower intrigued us. Your species is capable of far more than we could have anticipated." Derek chuckled, the corners of his lips curling upward. Humans aren't exactly known for being subtle about that. "But, I'm guessing that's not all you want, right?" The ambassador's tone shifted slightly, becoming more serious. "Indeed, we would like to extend an invitation to you and your people. We have witnessed the strength of humanity's spirit. Perhaps it is time for a deeper partnership between our species, a future where we work together to explore the universe." Derek leaned back in his chair, feeling the weight of the invitation. An alliance with the Zyphorians? A race so far advanced, yet willing to work alongside humanity? It was beyond anything he could have imagined. The thought of his people joining forces with a species capable of sharing such profound experiences was both exciting and terrifying. "Let me guess," Derek said with a smirk. "Menu number 5 wasn't just about offering food, was it? You wanted to see if we were worthy." There was a brief pause before the ambassador replied. "Not worthy, Captain Hughes. Just ready. Ready to understand the greater fabric of existence, to move beyond the boundaries that have limited your race. We offer you this not as a test, but as an opportunity." Derek stood up from his chair, his mind racing. The implications of this invitation were vast. Humans had always been an adaptable and resourceful species, constantly pushing the boundaries of what was possible. But now, with the Zyphorians offering access to experiences and knowledge that could propel humanity to unimaginable heights, the future was ripe with possibilities. "Consider this our invitation to the stars, Captain Hughes," the ambassador added softly. "Will your people answer?" Derek took a deep breath, a smile creeping across his face. He turned to the viewport, staring at the endless stars that beckoned beyond. "You bet we will," he said, his voice steady and full of conviction. "Humans may not always play by the rules, but when it comes to pushing the limits, we'll rise to the challenge." He paused, staring into the stars. The invitation was not just to explore the universe. It was a chance for humanity to prove that even the most unexpected of encounters could lead to greatness. The future, Derek knew, was now in humanity's hands. And they were ready for it. The end. Menu number 5 turned out to be a succulent alien girl on a tray. His reaction was priceless. HFY continued. Weeks passed since Derek accepted the Zyphorian invitation. The Nautilus had left the orbit of Zypher 7. But the ripples of that strange encounter hadn't yet faded. The crew, once shaken and unnerved, now spoke of the Zyphorians with a mix of awe and respect. The connection they'd shared with the alien race had been unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. It was more than an exchange of knowledge. It was a bridge to something far greater. Derek had spent countless hours in the ship's command center, studying the data the Zyphorians had sent over. Ancient artifacts, mind-bending technologies, and a deeper understanding of the universe's fabric. These were the treasures they had shared, but none of it explained why they'd chosen humanity. Sure, humans had resilience, but so did many other species. The Zyphorians had studied countless worlds, countless civilizations. Why were they choosing Earth now? The answer came when a small fleet of Zyphorian ships arrived in Earth's orbit, as though they had been waiting for a signal, a sign that humanity was ready to join the stars. "Captain Hughes," a voice crackled over the intercom. "The Zyphorians are hailing us. They're ready to begin the next phase of their offering." Derek's pulse quickened. The next phase? What did that even mean? He stood, his boots thudding against the metallic floor as he made his way to the communication room. His crew was already gathered, eyes fixed on the display, where a glowing figure appeared. It was the same ambassador from before, their translucent, shimmering form floating in front of them, still radiating calm energy. "Captain," the ambassador's voice was smooth, melodic. "We have received your response. We are ready to assist humanity in reaching its true potential. To do so, we must offer you the next step, the gateway." "The gateway?" Derek asked, a mix of disbelief and excitement creeping into his voice. "What's that?" The Zyphorian's smile widened. "It is not a place, Captain. It is a process, a mental and spiritual alignment. We will guide you and your people through the gateway, unlocking your true potential. You have proven yourselves worthy of this transformation." Derek turned to his crew, his heart pounding. They had come so far, and now they were standing on the precipice of something unimaginable. It was humanity's chance to evolve, to take the leap into a new age, to rise alongside species that had long surpassed them in technology and knowledge. "Why us?" Derek blurted out. "There are so many races out there. Why choose humanity?" The Zyphorian ambassador's expression softened. "Because, Captain Hughes, it is humanity's spirit, your indomitable will, that sets you apart. Your species has faced insurmountable odds, time and time again, and you've never backed down. That tenacity is something the universe can't afford to ignore. You are the ones who can truly benefit from the knowledge we offer. And perhaps, one day, your people will offer something even greater." Derek felt a weight on his shoulders, a responsibility that stretched across the stars, a burden that he knew would change humanity forever. "Then let's do it," Derek said firmly. "Take us through the gateway." The ambassador's glowing eyes sparkled. "Very well, Captain. Prepare your crew. The process begins immediately." The next few days were filled with preparation and uncertainty. Every member of the Nautilus crew underwent a series of mental and emotional evaluations, assessments that allowed the Zyphorians to calibrate the gateway process for each individual. Derek couldn't help but wonder if they were about to face something that would alter them beyond recognition. When the day arrived, the crew gathered in the ship's main hall, standing before a shimmering, holographic gateway, a swirling mass of light and energy that bent space itself. The ambassador had promised that the experience would be challenging, but it was humanity's test to prove their worthiness to evolve. One by one, crew members stepped into the gateway. Some went willingly, others with hesitation. Derek could see the strain on their faces as they passed through, their expressions frozen in a mix of awe and dread. The gateway was a force, not a passage through space, but a journey inward, a transformation of the mind and spirit. When it was Derek's turn, he took a deep breath. He had faced battles, lost friends, and stared death in the face countless times, but nothing in his life had prepared him for this moment. He stepped forward, his body tingling as the light surrounded him. For a moment, everything went still. The sound of the universe faded away, replaced by a deep, resonating silence. And then, as if the very fabric of reality had torn open, Derek felt his mind expand. He saw visions of humanity's past, its struggles, its triumphs, the first steps on the moon, the battles fought for freedom, and the endless quest to understand the stars. But the gateway didn't just show him humanity's history, it showed the future. A future where humans had become more than just survivors. They were creators, architects of a new age, and pioneers of the cosmos. The potential that had always been buried deep within the human spirit was now unlocked, like a light flickering on in the darkest night. It wasn't just knowledge he received, it was an awakening, the ability to feel the universe, its mysteries, its energies, its infinite possibilities, opened up before him. And as it did, he realized the true gift the Zyphorians had given. It was not the knowledge of distant stars or forgotten realms, it was the power to become. The gateway closed, and Derek found himself standing on the other side. The world around him now richer, more vivid. He could hear the hum of the ship's systems, feel the heartbeat of the crew members beside him. His body had not changed, but his mind, his understanding, was altered forever. He turned to the crew, and for the first time, he saw them not just as fellow soldiers, but as the future of a new era. Each of them had unlocked their own potential, each of them now capable of feats unimaginable before. Derek looked up at the stars, and with a new sense of clarity, he smiled. Humanity was no longer just a species scrambling to survive. They had ascended, they had arrived. And the universe had better be ready. The end. Menu number 5 turned out to be a succulent alien girl on a tray. His reaction was priceless. HFY continued. The days following the gateway transformation were nothing short of extraordinary. Humanity, as a species, had just undergone a quantum leap, not in technology or military strength, but in spirit, mind, and potential. Derek could feel the difference in the air, a subtle shift in how he viewed the universe. The Zyphorians had unlocked something fundamental within him and his crew, and now, humanity stood at the precipice of an entirely new era. The Nautilus drifted farther from Earth, no longer just a vessel in space, but a beacon for a new chapter in the human story. The Zyphorians had given them knowledge, but more importantly, they had given them a purpose. The message had been clear, the gateway was just the beginning. Now, humanity had to prove it could take its place among the stars, not as a fledgling species, but as a force to be reckoned with. Captain Hughes, we've received a message from the Federation. Lieutenant Maria Solano's voice broke through the quiet hum of the Nautilus's command center. She glanced over at Derek, her expression one of cautious excitement. It's about the Zyphorian Alliance. Derek raised an eyebrow, looking up from the console. Go ahead, Lieutenant. Maria turned to the screen, and a transmission flickered to life. A familiar face appeared, Admiral Samuel Holt, the head of Earth's Starfleet. His features were stern but visibly intrigued, a rare look for the seasoned officer. Captain Hughes, the Admiral began, his voice carrying an unmistakable weight. The gateway process is unprecedented. We've seen the reports, the data you've shared with us, and, well, quite frankly, this changes everything. Earth is on the verge of something greater than we could have imagined. Derek nodded, crossing his arms over his chest. I take it you've been briefed on the transformation? Holt leaned forward, his hands clasped. Yes, and I've been authorized to extend an invitation to you. The Federation has been discussing how we move forward with the Zyphorians. They've shared their knowledge with us, but they've also made it clear that Earth must choose a path, one that involves not just cooperation, but leadership. Derek raised an eyebrow. Leadership? You want humanity to take charge? The Admiral's eyes sparkled with a mixture of awe and anticipation. In a way, yes. The Zyphorians have identified a threat in the outer reaches of the galaxy. A force unlike anything we've encountered before. They believe humanity, with its newfound abilities, is the key to defeating this threat. Derek's heart rate quickened. A new challenge? A threat to the galaxy? What kind of force are we talking about? Derek asked. Unknown, the Admiral replied gravely. But the Zyphorians believe it is something ancient, something that predates even their civilization. They've called it the eclipsing shadow, and it has been moving through the galaxy, consuming entire worlds. They've lost contact with several allied species, and the Federation fears that it might be next. That's why they need humanity at the helm of the effort. With your people's tenacity and resilience, the Zyphorians believe Earth is the one species that can lead a united front. Derek leaned back, trying to absorb the enormity of the situation. His mind raced. The Zyphorians had given them the gift of knowledge and power, but now they were asking humanity to wield it against an unknown enemy, a force of unimaginable destruction. He glanced over at his crew, their faces a mixture of awe and apprehension. This was it, the moment of truth. Humanity had always been the underdog in galactic affairs, scrambling for survival, but now, they were being thrust into a leadership role, with the fate of countless civilizations resting on their shoulders. I'll need to consult with my crew and the Federation, Derek said after a long pause. But if we're going to do this, we're going to need everything the Zyphorians can give us. The Admiral nodded. I'll put you in direct contact with their command. We're all counting on you, Captain. As the transmission ended, Derek turned to his crew. You all heard that. The Zyphorians aren't asking for our help, they're asking us to lead. And I don't know about you, but I'm not about to let humanity sit on the sidelines when there's a chance to prove we belong among the stars. Lieutenant Solano stepped forward, her face set with determination. We've got this, Captain. We've faced worse odds before. Derek smiled. Exactly. And we've come out on top every time. This is no different. The Nautilus sped toward the Zyphorian capital, a glittering city orbiting a distant star, where they would meet the galaxy's most advanced species in the hopes of preparing for a battle that could define the future of the galaxy. But Derek knew that it wasn't just technology or military might that would win the day. It was humanity's ability to adapt, to fight for survival, and to lead when the stakes were highest. As they approached the glowing planet, Derek took one last look at the stars. The gateway had transformed humanity, but now it was time for them to rise, just as the Zyphorians had predicted. He didn't know what the eclipsing shadow was, but he was certain of one thing: humanity wasn't going to go down without a fight. They had been through too much, survived too many challenges, and now they would lead the charge against the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. It was time for the universe to know what humanity was truly capable of. The end, for now. Menu number 5 turned out to be a succulent alien girl on a tray. His reaction was priceless. HFY continued. The Nautilus arrived at the Zyphorian capital in record time. The shimmering city in orbit around the distant star was like nothing humanity had ever seen, a vast network of crystalline towers, interconnected by bridges of light, all floating in perfect harmony around the glowing sun. The sight was both mesmerizing and humbling, a testament to the unimaginable technological advancements of the Zyphorians. As Derek and his crew disembarked on the Zyphorian flagship, they were greeted by the same ambassador, the one who had shared the transformative experience of the gateway. His ethereal, glowing form appeared as they entered the grand hall, a space so vast it seemed to stretch beyond the limits of the ship. The entire room pulsed with an energy that felt as if it were alive. reacting to their presence. Captain Hughes. The ambassador greeted him with the same calm smile. Welcome to our home. We are prepared to begin your training in earnest. Derek squared his shoulders, his crew falling in line behind him. This was the moment humanity would prove its worth. We're ready, Derek said, his voice steady, though he could feel the weight of their mission pressing down on him. The ambassador led them deeper into the heart of the ship. As they walked, holographic displays flickered to life along the walls, projecting images of vast galactic maps, star systems humanity had never even heard of, and data on the eclipsing shadow, the mysterious and deadly force that threatened the galaxy. The eclipsing shadow, the ambassador began as they walked, is an ancient, malevolent entity that has devoured entire civilizations. We have tracked it for millennia, but it has been growing in power. Our own attempts to contain it have failed, and now it threatens the entire galaxy. But we believe you, Captain Hughes, and your people can defeat it. Why? Derek asked. What makes you so certain humanity can stop it? The ambassador stopped and turned to him, his glowing eyes intense. Because your species has faced extinction countless times, and each time, you have found a way to survive. You adapt, evolve, and fight back in ways no other species can. That is why we believe you are the key to defeating the shadow. You have something the rest of us do not, a will to endure that has never been matched. Derek could feel the weight of those words. It wasn't just about the transformation they had undergone, or the newfound abilities. The Zyphorians were counting on humanity's resilience, their ability to think outside the box when confronted with impossible odds. The ambassador led them into a chamber that hummed with energy. In the center, a massive holographic projection appeared, showing the eclipsing shadow, a swirling mass of darkness that seemed to absorb light itself. It was a chaotic storm of energy, constantly shifting and changing, devouring everything in its path. This is the enemy, the ambassador explained, his voice somber. It has no form, no mind. It simply destroys. Entire star systems, civilizations, and species have fallen to it. It is not bound by the laws of physics or reason. It is chaos incarnate. Derek studied the projection. There was something almost alive about the shadow. It was like staring into an abyss, a force of destruction that was impossible to quantify. But one thing was clear, it wasn't something you could fight in a traditional sense. So how do we stop it? Derek asked, his voice tinged with frustration. How do you fight something like this? The ambassador looked at him with an expression that seemed to convey both hope and uncertainty. We do not fight it, Captain. We must contain it. The eclipsing shadow is a force that feeds on chaos, on instability. It thrives when there is no order, no resistance. If we can create a barrier of stability, we can force it to retreat. But that barrier must be more than physical. It must be mental, spiritual. Derek frowned. You're talking about creating a unified force of will? A barrier of collective determination? Precisely, the ambassador said, nodding. Your species has unlocked something within yourselves that no other has. The transformation you underwent in the gateway process was only the beginning. What you now possess is the ability to project your collective will into the universe, to create a force that is more than just physical strength. The Zyphorians have the technology, but you have something we do not, the power of belief, of conviction, of unity. It is your strength, Captain Hughes, and it is what will save us all. The room fell silent as Derek processed the ambassador's words. The Zyphorians were offering technology, but they were asking humanity to lead, not just with weapons or strategy, but with something far more profound. Humanity's unyielding belief in its own survival, its unbreakable will. He turned to his crew, who were all absorbing the weight of what was being asked of them. It wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a test of everything humanity stood for. This was their moment to prove that their indomitable spirit could conquer even the greatest threats the galaxy could throw at them. All right, Derek said, his voice steady. Let's do it. If we're going to stop the eclipsing shadow, we're going to do it as one. Humanity, as a united force. No more fighting alone. No more isolation. The crew nodded, a unified resolve in their eyes. It was a daunting task, but for the first time, Derek felt a sense of certainty in the face of the unknown. Humanity wasn't just going to survive this. They were going to rise to the challenge. They were going to lead the galaxy. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparation. The Nautilus and its crew, alongside the Zyphorians, worked together to build the mental and spiritual barriers necessary to confront the eclipsing shadow. The Zyphorians taught them how to harness their collective will, how to focus their minds into a singular, unstoppable force. It was unlike any military training Derek had ever experienced. This was a battle not for firepower, but for control of the very energy that held the universe together. When the time came, the Nautilus set course for the outer rim, where the eclipsing shadow was said to be advancing. As they neared the coordinates, the darkness was impossible to ignore. It stretched across space like an insidious wound, its very presence distorting the stars around it. Derek stood at the helm, his crew beside him, their minds and wills now one. Together, they would face the unimaginable. "Let's show them what humanity is made of," Derek said, his voice unwavering. As they approached the event horizon of the shadow, they began to focus, not just on their thoughts, but on their collective belief, the belief that humanity would never surrender, that they would fight, adapt, and overcome, no matter the odds. The battle wasn't fought with weapons, but with willpower, and as the Nautilus entered the heart of the eclipsing shadow, something extraordinary happened. The darkness began to recede. Not through force or destruction, but through the sheer weight of humanity's will to survive. And as the stars began to shine again, Derek realized that this wasn't just a victory for humanity. It was a victory for every species that had ever fought against impossible odds. Humanity had not just survived, it had ascended. The end, for now. Menu number 5 turned out to be a succulent alien girl on a tray. His reaction was priceless. HFY continued. The victory over the eclipsing shadow had sent ripples through the galaxy. The once impending doom that had loomed over countless civilizations now seemed like a distant nightmare. The vast darkness, which had threatened to consume entire star systems, had receded under the force of humanity's collective will. But for Derek and the crew of the Nautilus, that was only the beginning. Their triumph had revealed something far more profound. The galaxy had just witnessed the true power of humanity. The Zyphorians were awestruck. No other species had been able to challenge the eclipsing shadow like humanity had. The ambassadors and scholars of their race marveled at the simplicity and purity of humanity's solution. It was a spiritual victory, a manifestation of will and unity that even the Zyphorians had never fully understood. In the weeks following the shadow's retreat, the Nautilus became a symbol, not just of humanity's strength, but of its potential to lead. The Federation, once hesitant to truly integrate with the more advanced alien species, now saw humanity as an equal, capable of leadership, innovation, and guidance. But, as with any victory, there was the question of what came next. What role would humanity play in this new galactic order? Captain Hughes, Admiral Holt's voice crackled over the calm, interrupting his thoughts as he stared at the holographic display of Earth. "It's time for your next step." Derek leaned forward, narrowing his eyes. "What's the situation, Admiral?" "After the defeat of the eclipsing shadow, several species have approached us for cooperation," Holt continued, his tone heavy with significance. "The Zyphorians are advocating for humanity to take the lead in forming a united alliance. They want us to be the central figure in the next phase of galactic diplomacy. And frankly, Captain, Earth is the only one in a position to do it." Derek stood up, pacing as he processed the gravity of the situation. "So, you're saying we're the ones to guide the galaxy's future, after one fight?" The Admiral's tone softened, but his words were resolute. "It's not just the fight, Captain. It's the way you fought. Humanity has proven itself. Your resilience, your unity, your unwavering determination, it was the key to defeating a force that even the Zyphorians couldn't handle. You've earned this position, we all have." Derek's mind raced. He thought back to the gateway, to the strange experiences that had unlocked something deep within him and his crew. Their transformation had been beyond physical, they had been molded into something more. But leadership on a galactic scale? That was a weight he hadn't anticipated. "We're still humans," Derek said quietly. "We've got flaws. Our history is filled with mistakes. And yet, you want us to guide this galaxy of advanced species? You're not just humans anymore, Captain," Holt replied, his voice firm. "You're the key to the future. You understand survival. You understand how to rise up. Against all odds. That's what makes you unique." The words rang in Derek's ears, echoing the same sentiment that had been voiced by the Zyphorians. Humanity wasn't perfect, but that imperfection was precisely what made them capable of overcoming the impossible. They had the ability to adapt, to think outside the confines of established norms, to unite in the face of adversity. "Okay," Derek finally said, his decision clear. "Let's do it. But we do this on our terms. We don't bend to anyone. The galaxy needs to see that humanity is more than just a species to be led. We are ready to lead." The following days were a blur of meetings, diplomatic talks, and strategic planning. Derek and his crew traveled to countless worlds, meeting with representatives from each species. Some were eager to join the coalition, eager to embrace the new future humanity offered. Others were more skeptical, wondering if humanity could truly shoulder the mantle of leadership. One such meeting was with the Veethar, a highly intelligent and technologically advanced race that had initially kept to themselves, wary of interference from outside forces. Their representative, an imposing figure with long, metallic limbs and an almost mechanical presence, stared across the table at Derek. "We have observed your species," the Veethar envoy said, his voice echoing in a strange, metallic hum. "You faced annihilation and survived, but we do not know if your kind is ready for the role you claim to desire." Derek met the envoy's gaze. "I understand your skepticism, but we don't expect anyone to follow us blindly. We just ask for a chance to prove that together we can build something stronger than the galaxy's ever seen." The VER envoy tilted his head, studying Derek with a keen intensity. "You ask for unity, yet your history is one of division. Why should we trust your species?" Derek paused, thinking back to the countless wars, the division that had once torn humanity apart. But then he thought of the moment in the face of the eclipsing shadow, when humanity had come together, not because of a shared ideology, but because of something deeper, the will to survive, to protect, to adapt. "Because we learned," Derek said simply. "We learned from our mistakes. We've faced division and conflict, yes, but we've also come together when it mattered most. And we'll do it again, because we have to. The stakes are too high." The envoy was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. "We shall observe, but be warned, Captain Hughes, should your species fail in this task, we will not stand idly by." Derek nodded back, his resolve firm. "I understand, and I will make sure humanity lives up to the challenge." As Derek returned to the Nautilus, he felt a strange mix of pride and pressure. Humanity had been given the galaxy's trust, but with that trust came an even greater responsibility. This was not just about surviving anymore. It was about thriving, about guiding the future of countless civilizations into something better. And the journey ahead, Derek knew, would be just as daunting as anything they had faced before. The challenges of uniting a fractured galaxy, balancing the demands of ancient and powerful species, and ensuring humanity's place at the center of it all would test them like never before. But he was ready, his crew was ready, and humanity, for the first time in its history, was standing on the precipice of something extraordinary. As the stars stretched before them, Derek Hughes couldn't help but smile. This was only the beginning, and humanity would rise to the challenge. The end, for now.